All right, Colombia
Colombia,
travel
travel
tips. I've done 2 trips
tips
in
en
Colombia.
Colombia. He hecho 2 viajes en Colombia. Este es uno, I am on my final day, estoy en mi día final.
This one, I'm on my final day. It's been a month and a couple of
Eh, Voy a tratar de traducirlo porque es parte, o no sé, o lo vemos así por así, es simple y está bien. Igual me sirve. Bueno, lo voy a ver, lo voy a ver cómo vaya fluyendo aquí la cosa. It's been a month, eh, it's a month and a couple of par de años. I go a traveler for almost 2 months. En un par de, de años, yo viajé por al menos 2 meses.
years ago, I traveled for almost 2 months in
En,
Colombia. So
en
based
Colombia.
on this, let me
Let
give
me
you
give
a
you
little
a
bit
little
of
bit of
advice. My first tip is not
no,
to underestimate the size of Colombia.
no underestimate, no no. Vamos a traducir esto. Subestimar, ajá, no subestimen el tamaño de Colombia.
If you compare to other destinations, for example, Costa Rica, it's like 10 times bigger than Costa Rica. So when you're
Si lo
looking
quieres comparar con Costa Rica, Colombia es 10 veces más grande que Costa Rica.
at a map and
So
you
when you
create
are looking at a map and you are creating a travel route, keep that in mind. Así que cuando tú estés buscando en el mapa y tú quieras crear tu rutina de viaje, ten esto en mente.
a travel route, keep that in mind because you may think,
Because you
I'll
might say,
just
oh,
go
you go
from
from
Santa Marta in the
in the
north to Bogota in the center, and I'll just catch a bus and it'll be easy. That's a 22-hour bus. So this is a
It's a
big
big
country.
country.
There are
Ajá.
2 ways to deal with
Sí, sí, sí.
this. One
There
is
are 2 ways to deal with this.
to think of your
Hay 2 caminos para deal, deal, para tratar o para hacer, tratar, reparto, negocio, parte, pacto, convenio, repartir, traficar, bueno, sí, para hacer, mm, para tratar esto, one is to think
travel route in terms of clusters.
clusters, cluster es cercanos, clusters, estoy pronunciando re bien, clusters, a ver,
That's a 22-hour bus. So this is a big country. There are 2 ways to deal with this. One is to think of
uno es pensar que en tu rutina de viaje en
your travel route in terms
términos,
of clusters.
término de grupos, so you have 2 weeks to spend. Bueno, lo estoy entendiendo, se pueden dar cuenta que estoy entendiendo, espero que ustedes estén entendiendo, así que voy a dejar que siga avanzando y haciendo escucha pasiva y si veo alguna palabra que no conozco, paro y la busco.
So if you have 2 weeks to spend, maybe you just want to stick to one region. That reduces the overall travel.
Stick, pegarse en la región. Overall, en general, ok, overall.
Time spent, and you'll have more time to enjoy the country. The other way to deal with it is to take flights. Domestic flights are actually quite cheap in Colombia. Check out the budget carriers that are here because there are some really good deals out there. I normally don't like to fly around everywhere. That's not my style. But in Colombia, you may find it useful to still take a domestic flight every now and then.
Professor Terence Tao is the equivalent of a rock star in mathematics.
Por la publicidad, ok, vamos a omitir el volumen, continuamos.
Secondly, don't feel obligated.
Segundamente, don't feel obligated to do the same itinerary that is in every travel blog. Segundamente, no te sientas obligado a hacer el mismo itinerario que estás haciendo en cada viaje.
To do the same itinerary that is on every travel blog. it's very noticeable on forums and Reddit and other places that everyone just adds the same.
Sí, que en foros, en Reddit o en otros lugares, sí, o sea, ajá, que no sigas en un itinerario que ponen en foros o en Reddit o en otros lugares, porque solamente añaden los mismos
5 or 6 places to their.
o 6 lugares en su itinerario. But it's shame, es una vergüenza porque Colombia has so many places to go. Exactamente. Colombia tiene muchos lugares a los cuales ir. Vengan a Popayán, ¿no?
Travel route.
Y hagan un tour con Get Up and Go Colombia. Les tiro el dato.
And that's a shame because Colombia has so many places to go.
Free tours every day from 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. every day.
Like I feel overwhelmed, and I've been to a lot of places in Colombia, and I still am like, oh my God, there's so much to see. So you can feel free to be a little bit more creative and create a different route that
Check itineraries and the description.
maybe appeals to your specific interests. The Pacific coast is amazing and underrated. There are so many nice places in the coffee region.
Underrated.
Overall.
Underrated. 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 What is?
There are so many nice places in the coffee region besides.
Underrated. Subestimada. Ajá.
Salento and
In the coffee region besides Salento. The Salento.
Yeah, it's worth being a little bit more creative and trying out maybe the second category of locations that are known but maybe are not among the first 3 or 4 places that everyone goes.
Estoy chequeando, chicos, estoy chequeando que se vea bien. Gracias, de verdad, gracias a los que eventualmente mirarán este video, de verdad. Yo estoy viendo este tipo de videos porque es algo que me interesa, está ligado un poco al propósito del canal. Entonces, pero ustedes pueden ver otro video después de repasar el mazo. Si tienen un mazo o si están estudiando acá el mazo con lo que yo estoy viendo, genial, genial. Pero esto porque me interesa, me agrada, me gusta, pero pueden ver un video de videojuegos o de un gamer o de un actor favorito, o de recetas o de tutorial de maquillaje, tutorial de cocina, sobre animales, qué sé yo. Algo que les guste, que esté de acuerdo a sus intereses. Voy a dejar correr el video. Estoy entendiendo, así que aquí voy a hacer shadowing encima, más o menos.
Be sure to pack for every type of weather. If you think of Colombia, maybe you think of the tropics and like nice beaches with dry weather, very hot. That can be the case, especially in the north. However, there are so many different ecosystems in this country that you're also going to have lots of different types of weather. The Pacific coast is one of the wettest places on
wettest places on Earth. Wettest? ¿Wettest? ¿Húmedo? Mojado.
Wets.
Wets.
Earth.
Pues está mal escrito. Wetete. Más húmedo, ajá, más húmedo, sí. Oh my goodness.
Pacific coast is one of the wettest places on Earth. The mountains can be very cold. I went to Los Nevados National Park, and actually there, let me take off this silly poncho. Up there, actually, it was super freezing. So I was there just for one day, so I just layered up everything I had. I had a hoodie and some long sleeves, and I tried to wrap up as much as I could, but it was so cold, and luckily we went to a thermal bath at the end of that day, so I could heat up a little bit at the end. But if you plan to do trekking through the mountains, be sure to bring some warm clothing, because it will get cold.
Ends. What is that? Es el banco. Otro anuncio.
All right.
Espérame, hago un poquito más por acá.
When it comes to Colombia, we have to talk about safety a little bit. Now, of course, we have to generalize. I would say that
Obviamente, si vamos a venir a Colombia, tenemos que hablar de seguridad. Tenemos que generalizar, claro, tenemos que generalizar. I would say that most areas of Colombia are safer or safer than. Debo decir que las áreas en Colombia que son más seguras, que son seguras o son más seguras.
most areas of Colombia are as safe or safer than other countries in South or Central America.
O otros países de Sudamérica o Centroamérica. ¿Qué? Me perdí otra vez.
South or Central are. When it comes to Colombia, we have to talk about safety a little bit. Now, of course, we have to generalize. I would say that most areas of Colombia are.
Que la mayoría. I would say that most areas. Tengo que decir que la mayoría de las áreas de Colombia son seguras, son más seguras que otros países en Sudamérica.
Safer than other countries in South or Central America.
O Central América.
If you are comfortable with traveling in Peru or Ecuador or Costa Rica, then you should be comfortable with traveling in Colombia.
Si te sientes confortable viajando a Ecuador, Costa Rica, Perú, deberías sentirte confortable con viajar a Colombia también.
Colombia as well. I think people have a lot of outdated associations with Colombia that are no longer correct. Of course, it doesn't mean that crime doesn't happen here. So read about general safety tips for travelers in general. If you are not an experienced traveler, you should know about these tips and look them up. And look up safety information about Colombia in particular so that you are well informed. But keep in mind this, when you look up safety information, of course that information has to be complete because these people or these bloggers or these authorities, they don't know what you're going to do in Colombia. So you might do some crazy stuff. So they have to say, do this, don't do that, don't go to this region, and list it all out. And if you read a list like that, you might get the impression that Colombia is a terrifying place, but it's not. Make sure that you balance the safety information with the knowledge that Colombia, the areas that you want to go to as a tourist or traveler, is very safe. Okay, this is not just based on my trips, but on conversations I've had with locals and people who live here. The cities can be a little bit different. So some of the cities require a little bit of extra care and awareness. The way to deal with this is just to be informed and just ask people, are there neighborhoods in the city that I shouldn't go to? Also, nightlife requires a little bit more care, I think, because people get drunk and there's some other asterisks there. In terms of regions in Colombia, there are some regions that have a worse reputation for safety, but here's the twist. You're not going to go there. Like,
O sea, acá,
who is going to go
¿dónde es?
to the border with Venezuela, where all the smugglers are and where all the warnings are saying you shouldn't go?
Where says that you can go? Place. Okay, espérate. Who is going to go to the border with Venezuela? Where are the smugglers?
Border with Venezuela.
Smugglers? What is smugglers? Smugglers. Contrabandistas. Okay. ¿Quién? Yeah, por el borde de Venezuela. Where are the contrabandistas are?
Where all the smugglers are and where all the warnings are saying you shouldn't go. The places that people go are the places that get recommended in travel guides, that people tell each other about, that are on the tourist trail. That's where you're going to go, and those places are way safer than the specific areas that they mention, like by the borders, like certain regions. Now, I would say do inform yourself a little bit.
Espérate. Voy a volver un poquito el mapa.
Where all the smugglers are and where all
This is Popayan.
the warnings are saying you shouldn't go. The places that people go are the places that get recommended in travel guides, that people tell each other about, that are on the tourist trail. That's where you're going to go, and those places are way safer than the specific areas that they mention, like by the borders, like certain regions. I would say do inform yourself a little bit, of course. Don't be naive and everything. Hopefully that is a balanced take that I can give you. My next tip relates to this topic a little bit, which is to download the ride-hailing apps that are popular in Colombia. This will enable you to travel safely inside the cities. They always warn. This will enable you to travel safely in that are popular in Colombia. This will enable you to travel safely inside the cities. They always warn not to take unofficial taxis. Take official taxis if you can, or use a ride-hailing app, which is the safest way for inner-city travel. On the topic of apps, be sure to use WhatsApp, because a lot of tour agencies, for instance, or accommodations, they can be very easily reached on WhatsApp. So I've sometimes tried calling them or like sending an email and they don't respond. But if you add them on WhatsApp and just open a chat, you say, hey, are you doing the hike tomorrow or whatever, they'll very quickly be able to give you an answer. So WhatsApp is actually a really nice tool to use in Colombia to plan your next steps.
Zona cafetera.
¿Estás buscando ofertas para tu próximo vuelo? Con Kayak puedes...
Right, if you want to eat cheaply and eat well, then it is worth looking for the menu.
Okay, alright. For the menu del día, which is a set meal that you can often
Del día, which is a set meal that you can often find for lunch, which involves a soup, a main, and usually lemonade or some kind of fruit juice. And this is really good value, usually around 10,000 pesos, and it's pretty delicious. On a similar note, you can use the bakeries really well if you're on a budget. I'm not really on a budget on this trip, but still, the bakeries are really good, and for very little money you can get lots of delicious things. Like I had one coffee bread with like jam and some cake as well, and it cost like 1,000 pesos, which is like 25 cents basically. So you can fill up pretty well for very little money.
very little money. Chao. Uf. Nice.
My final tip for traveling in Colombia is to enjoy it, but to have some patience. Because not everything will always be fast, or not everything will always be efficient. Now, this point gets exaggerated.
Ser paciente porque no todo es rápido, no todo es eficiente. Now, this point gets exaggerated sometimes a little bit. Ahora, este punto puede ser exagerado,
Sometimes a
puede haber sido exagerado
little bit when
algunas
I say,
veces un
I'm
poco.
South America.
People say in South America, people say in South America, everything is mañana, mañana, and
Everything is mañana, mañana, and everything is slow. It's kind of true, but actually on this trip, at least in terms of transportation, everything has been pretty efficient. Like I just arrived at the bus stop and within 10 minutes
Like I just arrived at the bus stop, within 10 minutes I had got
my next bus. But yeah, there's always a chance of things not happening exactly the way you expect them. So on this trip, for example, I went to a region that had a lot of mudslides and such, and there was a lot of road work, so I ended up having some pretty significant delays. And now apparently the road is closed.
Delays, pretty significant delays, retrasos.
And the way to do it
is closed. Ahora aparentemente el camino está pues cerrado y el camino to do it here is el camino para hacer aquí está, ellos lo han cerrado.
They closed the road for 2 hours, one way.
Road for 2 hours one way and then close for 2 hours on. A ver, espérate, subtítulos, inglés. Traducción general. No. Inglés. Sigamos.
And then close it for 2 hours the other way. So we may be stuck here for 2 hours waiting for this road to open. Oh, and my connecting bus that I had in mind, that someone advised me in the town, apparently that is not going to happen. That doesn't exist. So I have to travel to a further city and then go all the way back up again. So today's going to be the least efficient route that I've taken in a long time. This is going to take a whole day when on the map, as the crow flies, it is basically 3 hours. There are a lot of vultures here in these trees around us. Maybe they're waiting for us to die of hunger as we wait for this bus to go. Also, when I arrived in Medellin, it turned out like all the public transportation was just in chaos. It turned out
Chaos. ¿Estoy entendiendo ustedes también?
I was there on the day of the Virgin Carmen, which is the patron saint of transportation, which meant that on that day, all the bus drivers were like too busy zigzagging across the road and honking and shooting off fireworks from the bus to actually get people where they want to be in any kind of reasonable time. When there are delays, just gotta take that as part of traveling in South America. I would just say that maybe if you have a flight or something really important, put a bit of extra time there to make sure you can cope with the delay. Those were my 10 tips for traveling in Colombia. If you want inspiration for your trip to Colombia, check out my blog and check out my channel for lots of travel ideas for Colombia. All right, ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Traveller.com. Wow. Your partner in crime of languages. Ángeles se despide. Cambio y